thank you for being a friend? Question mark? I'm John Stark, MacTheMovieGuy.com. I'm a blind film critic. Click like and subscribe. This is not going to be a very long video. I thought about doing a short, but I just did a short yesterday calling out Max for Elevation, and I just wanted to do a video for this one. Yeah, I'm a blind film critic. I talk largely about audio description and accessibility. And the lesson learned here is that companies are now running away from DEI. So I would really love if you could run towards it with that like and subscribe button so that I can continue to talk about audio description and accessibility that people like me need, because shit's happening. And we need to talk about it. So Hulu has removed existing audio description for the Golden Girls. I don't know why. It doesn't. I don't understand. It doesn't matter if you access it through Disney Plus or Hulu. There's no audio description anymore for the Golden Girls, which is an ABC show. The audio description isn't even that new. It's had audio description. I don't know why they've removed it. It's sort of a classic sitcom that they're running through. And there are very few like older shows that have audio description when you think about how many older shows there are. I mean, yeah, like I can list 20 or something like that. And does it feel like a lot? And then what is older to you? Like how many years pass? Because there are plenty of shows like Lost that don't have audio description. So, and that's not even that old of a show. Golden Girls is from like the 80s. So the further you go back, the less chance you have of having audio description. So the fact that the Golden Girls had audio description for all of its 7 seasons was kind of a victory. It was kind of like a nice win. And blind people have sort of been kind of watching Golden Girls on repeat on Hulu, which is a service whose audio description is already sort of like hit or miss. I still think there's no audio. I don't literally check on a daily basis, but there are things that they have that are theirs that they don't have audio description for, like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and The First Omen, which are both Fox titles, which are Disney owns Fox now. These are their titles. Hulu is their service. They bought out the remaining share of Hulu. They now fully own it. I don't know why these titles don't have audio description on Hulu, and they don't care enough to do it because both of those movies have been on the service for a while. Extraordinary Season 2 has audio description, just not on the platform. They constantly have problems with next day delivery of ABC shows, making sure that when they drop, they actually drop with the audio description they just aired with on live television. So sometimes you'll get it like a day later. Sometimes they also drop movies and then they add the audio description at some later date. They're like, I don't know where it is. But it's like, but that movie had audio description in theaters. So here we have Golden Girls, which was fine. Like, it was just sitting there chilling, doing its thing, and then they pulled the audio description for it. What is going on? Like, this is the world, and why I'm so frustrated nowadays, and I'm so deeply depressed all the time, is because this election cycle, which was all about supposedly, grocery prices, gotta get those grocery prices down, has turned onto a war on the disabled community, a war on diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And when you make it a war on that, you make it a war on me. You make it a war on people like me, and you make it a war on the accessibility that we need. And people like me are being removed from government jobs. The people who provide these employees with accessibility are being removed. So they have nobody to even complain to or ask about their jobs. The people who would care about them are being removed from their jobs. They're being fired by Doge. Public companies like Starbucks are being sued for having DEI initiatives. So even the ones that don't currently have DEI, they're being sued as private institutions for having it because, I don't know, we still don't let private companies have their own core values. So Starbucks is being sued by the state of Missouri. Florida is suing Target for ever having had a DEI program, even though they ended it. they no longer have DEI. They're one of the companies that, when Trump took office, ran away from their DEI policies quite publicly, to the chagrin of many of their own people, because their DEI program came out of the fact that that their headquarters is in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered, and they sort of birthed a program out of that and stood with that. Uh, they also have a history of donating to anti-LGBTQ causes. So their DEI program was sort of like an apology tour, which they quickly got rid of. So I don't even understand the Florida lawsuit, because Target as a brand uh, has basically been not DEI for most of its journey as a company. So, and then we have states. There are 17 states that are currently suing to remove a section from. They don't like a bill that was passed. Uh, they claim that they have the constitutional right to discriminate against disabled people, so they're currently suing for the right to do so. There are airlines that are suing for the right to. They're suing the Department of Transportation for guidelines that are provided that allow, that specify wheelchair patrons and people like me with guide dogs and stuff like that. And they're going after that. They don't want disabled people on airplanes anymore. So this is the world that you've created. And now I have Disney is removing audio description from a show that already had it. It's not even like I'm trying to get companies to create audio description or to care enough to propagate more of it. And now I'm having companies that already sort of had kind of like a very sort of neutral approach to making sure, very apathetic. Now it's being removed. This was audio description that was on the service. It exists. It's not there anymore. So I don't know what else to say, except the only way to fight back is to do what I'm doing. And I need likes and subscribes. And if 5 people watch this video, then that's it. Only 5 people watch this video. Sorry to get political, but as much as I love film, and I've loved film my whole life, I've I really I feel like so many times I get questioned as a critic, and even in the critic skills that I'm there for, I don't think they actually want me. I know that my shit doesn't look great, and my website is a hot mess. Nobody helps me. I'm not great at web design or editing, software editing. I never claimed to be. My degree is in cinema studies. I have a film degree that's literally a cinema studies track specifically. I never wanted to be in production. I never wanted to be in film direction. When I was a little kid, I used to cut out. This is how I knew that this was always going to be me. In the newspaper, when they used to run ads for movies, for movie theaters, and it would be an actual picture, like a mini poster of the movie with like the showtimes listed of like, playing at this theater at these times, and you could actually see the poster of the movie. And I would cut those posters out and I would keep them. And I was like collecting those little posters, and I was like 5, 6, 7, and that was what I thought was fun for me, was that. And I didn't know what most of those movies were. I remember looking at them later on and being like, well, it was like Nightmare on Elm Street, like, I don't know what these movies are at that age. So, but then that translated into, obviously, I've consumed a lot of, television and movies, and I moved to a small town and they didn't have a film critic. And I walked in as a middle school kid and asked if I could write movie reviews. And I wrote movie reviews for 2 years before they used a syndicated film critic. So I have been a published film critic since the 6th grade. I started up websites, but I started up websites, how there used to be like free servers, things like GeoCities, and I used to have something on a place called free server that doesn't exist anymore. So I have a website that just, I don't know, I have old stuff that just doesn't exist. But I would put out my own stuff like I am today. I've written for some websites before. I've done live blogging for some websites, for television shows, recaps, and stuff like that. I've been doing it my whole life, and then I decided to get a degree in it. And I got the degree, found out I was losing my vision, and I'm here. And I went through hella depression because it was like this was a thing I loved. And even though I had worked in movie theaters for 10 years and I knew we had audio description equipment, like rarely anybody ever requested it. And I didn't conceptually understand how it worked. We were never taught how it like we just sort of handed the device. Like I knew how to turn it on, but I never knew how to fix it. So if it was ever not working, but the best thing I could do would be to give them like another device because nobody ever trained me. I was like manager level. So I didn't put much thought into audio description. And then the blind community kind of taught me how to turn it on and to start using it. And suddenly I found joy in my life again. And it was through audio description because it was the thing I was able to do. I couldn't play video games anymore because, yes, there are some audio described video games. Some of them are only audio described to a point, so you have to kind of be low vision to be able to play them, not actually blind. And you need to be able to navigate menus, stuff like that. I used to play first-person shooters, which are really hard to describe, and none of them are. Because, like, how are you not going to shoot your teammate? How are you going to snipe somebody across the field? All those kind of things, without pissing off the other players, where they feel like you're using an aimbot. So, yeah, I'm sure there are mods on the computers for people on private servers, but as a whole, if I wanted to play with all the sighted friends that I had prior to losing my vision on the same level, it just doesn't exist. So I'm happy to keep this one thing that I have, just like I'm happy to still have the job that I have until Elon finds me. And I've been granted opportunities to be able to talk about audio description because of my knowledge of film, actually having a degree in it. I have a real degree. It's actually fucking on my wall. And I see stuff like this and I see it's actually disappearing. Is this a sign of the times? Because I don't trust Hulu enough as a company, as a streaming service, that this isn't a choice. I don't trust this to be an accident. I trust this to be a choice. Because at this point, they have movies like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and The First Omen that still don't have audio description. They've been on there forever. Those titles should be so easy to acquire the audio description for. You just have to call home, phone home. The calls are coming from inside the house, And if they're not motivated enough to do that, then I don't know, maybe they're not motivated enough to maintain audio description for shows that are and movies that are already on the service. So maybe audio description is going to start disappearing from Hulu. Maybe we're actually going to start getting less audio description. So that's what this is. So, in the word of the theme song to the Golden Girls, thank you for being a friend. I just want to thank those of you who do subscribe for being here because I hate being me right now. So, and the world is making me feel smaller and smaller every day. But I woke up this morning, so this is my post for the day. It's awkward, but thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.